Hey there, it's gone, girl. Still got the headache, but still here. I've been doing a lot of thinking about the name calling that people are doing in our community. I'll give you an example. You're a junkie. You're a meth head. You're a druggie. You come from a horrible home. You've got no money. This and that. Well, common sense would say calling a junkie is really unintelligent or not intelligent at all. Because basically, the intelligent term for a junkie, meth head, is an addict. And the reason we call them an addict is because they are addicted to a substance and cannot break the habit. But the weirdest thing is the people who are saying these words are saying them to put people down. But the funny part is, some of the people who are saying these things have an addiction of their own. Now, what is the difference of an addict that lives with not so much money? They don't have a beautiful house, whatever. They're living in hard times. Or a middle to high class addict who's still addicted to drugs. It doesn't matter. The only difference is a middle to high class person may be using cocaine or something that's a little more expensive. But to be really honest, they're still doing drugs. They're still an addict. And in their own mind, they should realize that they're calling themselves a junkie as well. Because a drug addict is a drug addict is a drug addict. Now, I don't want you to think that I'm putting drug addicts down, because I'm not. They have an addiction. They cannot help the fact that they are addicted. You know, common sense, if you did any reading up on it, a lot of addicts come by it quite honestly. They have no idea that they have an addictive system. And like my brother was born an addict, but he did not know at the time he was born an addict. He was adopted. So when he started to do marijuana and just smoke pot, he thought he was perfectly fine. But the problem was, although marijuana is not supposedly the action of being high was addictive, sorry. So that was his gateway drug, and he went to mushrooms, and then he went to cocaine, and and so the story goes, and he became a hardcore addict. Now, so one person calling other people junkies when they have a drug addiction themselves, or have even come on and said, I had an addiction, I'm in recovery. Well, that doesn't make you any less of an addict. You're just a sober addict. And the one thing about sobriety that I want people to realize, it takes a lot. It's like climbing Mount Everest for people who have a drug addiction. And the people who are in sobriety, we should be celebrating the fact that they're in sobriety and not kicking them because they're addicts. Because you know what? The ones who are working on sobriety are people to look up to. Because there's a lot of people out there that don't even think to stop doing drugs. They just don't. They're trapped in a cycle and they can't break free. But sobriety is something that should be celebrated. Because too many people don't get to that point. Too many people don't get to live long enough to gain sobriety. But on here, it's the term junkie and meth head and all this stuff is not being used appropriately. It's just being used as an insult. And in some cases, the person they're calling it has never touched more than a Tylenol or an Advil in their life. So they're not educated enough to know whether the person they're screaming at is an addict or not. But my main focus is sobriety. Now I've been blessed. I'm not an addict. I never have been, but I come from a family of addicts. My brother was a drug addict. My dad was an alcoholic and a pedophile, and my mom liked to take a lot of pills. Not to get high, I don't think, but that was her coping strategy. Um, but I think we should stop using these terms on YouTube. Because number one, you don't know how far a person is in their sobriety or not. You don't know if this is the last moment we're going to hear from them. Because as you know, when it comes to drug addiction, you don't know when your last hit of whatever is going to kill you. You just don't know. So, do you want to be the person to know that your last words to that person caused them to take more of whatever they were addicted to and then they end up dead? And I can just hear it already. Oh, but they were a junkie. They were a meth head. It doesn't matter. Yes, it does matter. Do you want to know why it matters? Because they are human beings like the rest of us. We are no better than them. We just didn't have an addictive personality that once we picked something up, we were addicted. You should count your blessings that you weren't a person that had that in their genetic code. I hate the fact people go around, oh, go stick a needle in your arm. Oh, go do this, go do that. You're missing the point. These people have been living in hell already. They don't need someone on the internet to say to them, you're worthless, you're this, you're that, go use again. Do you want to know how horrible that really is? I would like you to put yourself in the position that you have a 13 to 16-year-old child in your house who may have started smoking pot, but then some other kid gave him some pills or gave him some coke or something, and now they're messed up. Now they can't seem to stop using it. All they want to do is party and this and that. Are you going to sit there and say to your kid, you're nothing but a junkie, you're useless, you're worthless, you're this and that? Is it really what you're going to do if that's your own child? And if it's not what you would do to your own child, why are you doing it to people on the internet? Why? And in some cases, the most hypocrisy is some of the people who are saying it are addicts themselves. Projecting much? I just don't get it. Words have power, words have meaning. I see in some cases that it's actually mirroring. It's like some of the people who throw these things around the internet are actually addicts themselves, though they're really just projecting. But I think it's wrong. Why would you kick someone when they're already down? Why won't you celebrate their successes instead of their failures? We all know enough information on drug addiction, just common knowledge, that it's a push me, pull you type of illness. And it's a type of illness that we should celebrate the victories. If you celebrate the victories, then maybe they can not go back to using. But no, there's a few of you out there that like to kick people down and say, oh, you're just a junkie, you're a meth head. Basically treating them like they're worthless. Well, I hate to tell you, most junkies and most people who are drug addicted usually are really good people. They've just been hurt some way along the line, and they're medicating their hurt. So what gives you a right to use their illness as a put down? Are you going to go go to a cancer center, walk in and say to the people, "Oh, it's your fault you have cancer." Are you going to put them down? "Oh, she's got cancer." Or "she's got epilepsy," like as if it's a negative, something they can control. You wouldn't do that. You just wouldn't. Well, an illness is an illness. It doesn't matter what the name of the illness is, but it's an illness. And we should celebrate their victories when they're not using, because that is one of the hardest fights. Just like cancer is the fight of your life, so is drug addiction. And I watched my sister lose the fight of ovarian cancer, and I watched my brother lose his fight with drug addiction. Both of them were fighting just as hard. But I think we should just pull back and stop this name calling stuff, because it's not just because it's wrong, it's because it's immature. And most of the people who are doing it are extremely immature individuals. And some of them are actually addicts themselves. So just stop. Please just stop. Every one of us has to live one day at a time. It doesn't matter whether we're addicted to anything or not. We literally can only live one day at a time. And some people, even in my case, I got to live 5 minutes at a time, because sometimes, as I said, I want to smash my head against the wall, which, as I said, is not a good idea. But I think it should stop. I think the terminology, it the people who are using that terminology are just showing how uneducated they are, and we can clearly hear how uneducated they are, because they're using terms that teenagers may use on the street. They're not using terms that an adult would use. They're really just showing their own inability to think, and their inability to understand, and their inability of being educated. I just want it to stop. For everybody out here that is in sobriety, I am so very proud of you. And many people are super proud of you. I know it's like cancer, it's a fight for your life. And I want you to know there's people out here that do commend you and do feel very proud of what you've accomplished. And if you slip back and you fall and you go back and you do drugs again, please know you can keep fighting. You don't have to keep going. Sobriety is something you can attain. It's attainable. It's not easy. It's probably the hardest thing you'll ever do. But I want you to know, I will not call you a junkie. I will not call you a meth head. I will not put you down for something that's equivalent. It's equivalent to cancer in the way that it's an illness. It's a life-threatening illness. I want you to know there's people like me that are not going to kick you when you're down, but are going to celebrate your sobriety. Please be kind to each other. Please be better. Don't use terms that just make you look uneducated and just plain dumb. Anyways, have a great day. This is Gone Girl. She's now gone.